Cold War, there is no uncooperation at lower, at the upper levels. Everybody's cooperating. This is a very concerted effort to deceive the entire world. But the bottom line is you know, they're all doing this to deceive us, to make us believe that there's space. We've got, he also goes into the U-2S and the reconnaissance aircraft and the specifications for that, which is absolutely amazing too. And like I said, they're trying to replace these balloons at some point with the high altitude launcher plane like I showed earlier in the broadcast, and also a lot of it is being picked up by the U-2s, which I've said many times that I believe that what we're seeing is the ISS, and this is my opinion, like Jaron said, this is always our opinion, that what we're seeing at the ISS is just a modified U-2 with some very high intensity LEDs on the bottom of it flying over at maybe 400 or 500 miles an hour, something like that. But yeah.
Hey, since you're on that topic, Bob, I put a link in the not the Facebook, the Skype chat. Just a couple links above the water glasses. It says Argus. It's a video.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to play the video, but if you want to just spot check through it a little bit, and the beginning's kind of boring, but like once you get towards the middle, it shows the really awesome, well, kind of creepy. Okay, now if you pause it there. That right there is allegedly the top secret device that's attached to the bottom of that plane that they were showing, and you can they covered up with tarp. For all we know, it's a bunch of junk and basketballs, but they say that is the top secret piece that they can't show us.
Right.
And then the end result of this is essentially this plane sits over an entire city. I forget what its radius line of sight is, or like how much of an area it can see at once, but basically an entire city, they can look at every portion of it at once, and that's what it looks like, and they can furthermore zoom in on any pixel of that as if it's a high definition thing, so high definition that they can literally see people standing in the road waving their arms. They can use this, like in this example, they're showing they can help the flow of traffic by suggesting people, you know how most people use navigation on their phone, they can use this sort of real-time data, which, by the way, you see each and every one of these cars has like a red or a green box around it. Mm-hmm. Anything that's moving, it tracks, and it designates as an independent item. Even people walking down the street, it puts a little box. This is just from one basically spy plane, and they can watch this entire area all at once and pinpoint in on multiple locations at once, track anything that moves, and you would never see it in the sky.
Right.
Now, the point I'm trying to make here is we've had similar technologies. Of course, you know, high definition video has come a long way since the 50s, but we've had spy planes since then. Why wouldn't we be getting our quote-unquote satellite data from something practical like this, as opposed to something completely impossible, impractical, like a hypothetical satellite that's 20,000 miles away?
Right. Well, you know, they also say that the U-2 has a ceiling. They don't specify exactly what it is, but what they say is the ceiling is above 75,000 feet. So that could be, 75, 85, 95, who knows. But, when I was looking at this, and I did watch this video, I was kind of wholly unimpressed with the resolution and what they were showing us here, because honestly, Google Street View, Google almost gets you this well, and I think it's probably would be quote-unquote supposedly classified, but I found it interesting that they didn't zoom in on somebody's face. Remember in...
No, they do. They like, there's one part where they zoom in, and no, they don't get his face, but they get a guy standing in the street basically doing calisthenics, and you can clearly see exactly what he's doing. I mean, that's pretty damn good from the I forget what exact altitude they're at, but that's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I think we've passed that point.
One of the interesting things about this is that it's live. That's pretty impressive. You know what I mean? If that's truly live, that's incredible. I have a friend who actually develops photogrammetry software. And he recently got a contract with a military contractor. He's basically a subcontractor to develop, their own satellite stitching software for satellite, quote unquote, satellite imagery. And what's interesting, the interesting thing that he's told me about that is the cost of satellite imagery and what these lower level military contractors are working with. And the stuff that they're essentially sending him, and this is kind of blows my mind how low res it would be. The military contractors are apparently most of the stuff that they're at least practicing on is like a 3-foot resolution for a single pixel. And he said that Google imagery costs thousands of dollars per image is what he told me to purchase, because he basically has, through these people, he has the ability to purchase satellite imagery, and he can actually see, the raw data, which is really interesting.
Like real time, or just raw data after it's been released?
Basically, no, not yet. He said the soonest that they can see the imagery for the current company they're using is 3 days. I think the Google imagery they can get is like a day. And but there are certain areas that are off limits, which is interesting too. He told me just certain countries are off limits. Certain areas of this country are off limits. Actually, I think he told me all of the U.S. is off limits for people for these lower end contractors to purchase, is what he told me. So I find that very interesting, honestly. And I want to learn more about that. Actually, he literally can't talk about this stuff with me. It's really funny. I won't mention his name. I love him to death. He's a really good friend, but he actually, I think his blood pressure literally goes up if I mention any of this research.
Yeah.
He's a PhD, and I love him. He's a photogrammetrist. He's a really good guy, but oh my goodness, I start telling him what I'm doing, and I have a couple times, and he's just like, I don't want to talk to you. I can't talk to you right now. He's like, yeah,
just some advice when you refer to him, just say that it's a she, and that way it'll totally take the heat off of her.
there you go, off of her.